presentation in English, and I'm going to try to speak a little bit slowly, even though the Pecha Kucha format really forces people to be as fast as you can. So we can start the presentation, I hope. I'll make myself clear. I'm Arnie Bouwers, and I've worked in international broadcasting for a long time. So I'm going to talk to you about communication. You've seen a lot about Dutch culture and about Dutch architecture, and I want to talk to you about how Dutch people communicate. And I've been in international broadcasting, I've been telling a lot of stories about the Netherlands. And my identity basically is twofold. I'm two persons in one. In the Netherlands, I'm a China expert. The first time I came to China was in 1982, and I studied Guangzhou, and I also studied for a year in Nanjing. But in China, I'm a media expert and I teach journalism. Now, about ways of communicating, there are basically two styles. One style is very square and straightforward. A completely different style is very woolly and long-winded and taking all sorts of side steps. And I think you can sort of know what the focus of the Dutch style is and what the focus of the Chinese style is. Now, one person I really admire a lot is Liu Yang, and she is a she's a Chinese designer who's lived half of her life in Beijing and then half of her life in Berlin, and she catches differences between East and West in a nice way in these pictures. Now, the Dutch style is very direct. It's very precise, and Dutch people usually have very strong points of view. A completely different style is a diffuse style, and that's where people are very indirect and much more diplomatic. Now, lesson number one, if you want to communicate with people from another culture, is look into the mirror. Know yourself, know who you are, and know how you come across, how other people think about what you do. So that's the first lesson I want to give to you. Dutch, very specific, and the way Dutch people look at people who communicate in a different way, in a diffuse way, is they think they're being circuitous. They go around in circles. They're evasive. And they don't have a backbone because they show different opinions depending on who they talk to. If they talk to other people, if they talk to somebody who's high up in the hierarchy, they might have a different point of view. Similarly, people from a diffuse culture would see people from, like Dutch people, as very blunt, not just direct but blunt, and very impolite. So it's good to know if you're from one culture and you talk to the other one, how the other one is looking at you. Now, Dutch people are not just direct, but they also think they know better. They're even convinced they know better. And they think that the Dutch way of doing things is the norm, so everyone should follow suit. And that also goes with hierarchy. In the Netherlands, a leader is sort of one of a group. A little bit higher, but not much. Whereas in China, a leader is really a big person. And that also has a lot of consequences for the way they communicate. Now, one thing to know about the Netherlands, if you ever go to the Netherlands and you work and you have a meeting, everyone wants to have their say. Everyone wants their voice to be heard. And this means that meetings go on and are really endless. If you look at decision making, the Netherlands is very much consensus oriented. So everyone has to say. China is completely on the other side of the spectrum, very much top down. Americans, British people are a little bit in between. So it means that a lot of people from top down cultures get very nervous by the Dutch way of decision making. And then there is something that's also important to know. Dutch people think that debate is a very good thing. Be as confrontational as you can be. Because to debate and to ask questions, to be very rigorous and to give a lot of criticism is seen in the Netherlands as a positive thing. It means you take responsibility. So within a team, you take responsibility to sort of seek the other person's opinion, and being very confrontational means that you're doing a good job, and this can be sort of confusing for others. Now, I'm confused in China every now and then as well, because it's not just about words communication, it's also about other things, context. Now, I'm proud, just as you probably are, of the Guangzhou Tower. The architects are from the Netherlands, but one thing that really surprised me was the way they lighted it up in the evening. I thought, why are they so concerned about LGBT rights, about gay rights? Because they use these rainbow colors. But that apparently was not the way. Something else that really surprises me all the time in China is that Chinese people who are not confrontational fight about who pays the bill. And I somehow, even after 30 years, don't know what the rules of the game are. And a third thing that's a bit surprising is sometimes yes means no. Now, how do you know? So this is something that Dutch people really have a very difficult time with. You invite somebody and they say, oh yes, yes, I'll come, but you never really know. And if you look at, so for a Dutch person to be in China and do all sorts of things in China, you have to get to know all sorts of secret codes, it seems. Who sits where on the dinner table? What is the type of restaurants you're being invited to? The more luxurious, the better. So going back to what the Netherlands is for me, basically, I think the Netherlands is like cycling on a stormy day, challenging and refreshing at the same time. I think Dutch people are quite stubborn, they're active, they're very engaged, and much to my surprise, I saw that last Sunday there was a national championship, Dutch championship of cycling against the wind. This cannot be planned because you need a storm, at least 704, and it took place the first November storm in the Netherlands. And that is what the Netherlands is like. Fair and square, cycling against the wind. Very nice, exciting, but also utterly exhausting. Thank you.
Okay, 这个时候呢，我们也同时要邀请现场朋友们来提出问题，和我们的2丁女士进行一个互动的。有朋友有问题要提出来吗？有吗？3。OK， 有请助理。
Thank you very much. I just have one question. So, which way do you like better, or which way do you think is better for decision making, the Dutch way or the Chinese way?
Very good question. I've been a manager for quite some time, and I managed journalists from all over the world. So I had an Arab team, and an African team, and a Chinese team, and an Indonesia team, and a Dutch team as well. And for me, it's much easier to work with Chinese or Indonesians than with the Dutch team, because they keep asking questions, and whenever you take a decision, nobody takes your decision for granted. So you have to work really hard with Dutch teams.
So maybe that's from a manager's point of view, like the leader, but to be a team member or to be just the basic stuff, maybe the Dutch way is more preferred, I think.
I agree with you. I think as a team member it's very nice to be in a Dutch team because you can always raise your voice, you can always come up with examples and questions. And I do think that looking at the Netherlands from an innovation point of view, that kind of a very critical attitude works really well for just getting better products. I'm Dutch enough to believe that really is good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I lived in the Netherlands. I studied in Leiden for a year, and I was working with a bunch of Dutch people. Well, we come up with very, very good ideas, but it takes forever, all the time.
Exactly.
Thank you.
好的，谢谢。OK， thank you。好。